Hey, welcome to your day off. My name is Corey, and I'm sitting with my buddy Gabby from Beauty Launchpad. She is the editor at Beauty Launchpad. Gabby, man, welcome back. Welcome.
Hi, it's good to be chatting with you. Back for another episode. We're getting back into the swing of things recording after being at all the trade shows and doing all the fun live events.
Yeah, they are cool. And then we've it's actually been a couple months since we've actually recorded with me traveling, which is what we're going to talk about today. Is some of my travels that happened in the month of July there, and yeah, I'm excited to be back. It's definitely like re-greasing the wheels to kind of get the tongue moving again.
Yes, it's fun. I always look forward to recording these episodes, so it's nice to be back getting into the swing of things and chatting with people. And I am particularly excited about this episode because I think what we're going to be talking about is super powerful and impactful. And I think there's a lot of people that are going to be excited to learn more about it. And I'm excited to hear too about your experience.
And it's also fun, it's crazy. We talk about what we're up to and what we're going to do today, but we had a lot of fun too, and I think that's important too. And I think that it's how we fill our cup completely, is to be able to do the work and then B, to have fun doing it. And I'm going to tell you that our special guest today is a person that I met over in Cambodia while doing HairAid, Mr. Geno Chapman. Now, it was actually funny. Like, Geno and I have known each other for years, but have never really met each other in real life. However, once we were over there, we realized that we've been to a lot of the same parties and a lot of the same events and stuff. We just, never kind of hooked up. So in Cambodia, we were able to do that, and definitely hanging out with Geno while I was there was a highlight. Not just a highlight, but made it a really, really great experience for me. Anyways, we had a great time. Anyways, I'd love to get in the conversation. I'd love to talk a little bit about HairAid today, Gabby. But what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to throw you over. You're going to be the host, and you can nail Geno and I with any kind of questions that you have or whatever. So take it over.
Take it away. All right. Let's just kick it all right off by bringing Geno in. Hi, Geno. Do you want to introduce yourself to all the lovely people? Maybe talk about how you got your start in the hair industry and everything?
Yes, bonjour, everyone. Good morning. I get to be on live with these beautiful people. Absolutely amazing. I'm going to talk about friendships, bonds, companies, big one, charity, giving back. Again, coming back, I guess, leaving with your cup full and coming back with your cup even fuller, which is a big passion of mine. And that's how Corey and I met, which took Cambodia for us to actually meet. And this is what I tell everyone since I've been back. This is how special this place is. This place is so special that it can bond two Americans that we've been, again, running in the same parties, at the same places, at the same award shows in the hair industry, and we've never had a chance to link up until Cambodia. So I'm Geno Chapman. It's an honor to be on the show with my, really good friend Corey, and then my really great friend now, my new one, Gabby here. Yeah, I'm Geno Chapman. I have a company called Gray Label. My company was built for philanthropy work, charity work, to do exactly what we did in Cambodia. I've been in the hair game for 23 years now. I won a NAHA award, been up for another NAHA award, actually won an Inspiration Icon Award for the charity work I did during COVID, which was really fantastic. I put together something that came up into my brain, and we raised about $17,000 and gave it all away. And again, this has been in my heart. It's been part of what I do. It's a part of hair. And then you can see we just went to HairAid. So I'd love to chat about it, talk about it, and it's an honor. Thank you.
Yeah. Amazing. Obviously, you're both wearing the HairAid shirts, so a lot of people may see the branding, but they may be like, what is that? It may be something that's new to a lot of our listeners. So do you want to just sort of give people a preview and sort of tell them like what this experience is and about if they've never heard of it?
What was really cool for this experience that Geno and I did is that Selena Tomasic, who's the founder of the program, it was actually her 50th and her last project. So it was really an honor to kind of be with her through the project, to be able to be a part of her last project. She's still working with HairAid, but she's not going to be on location anymore. And our friend Alana is taking over like on location coordination and stuff. On location coordination. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it did. So Alana's taking it over. So what is HairAid, and what do we get to do? Is we were tasked with coming to a foreign land and training people in critical poverty how to cut hair. Aside from all the hyperbole and all that kind of stuff, it's just you're giving people's future an option. Where you're in some of these countries and there's not a lot of options. And what was really surprising to me, or most surprising, and I think what we take for granted, is just in the US, certainly, our level of education. The level of education in Cambodia is not even what we would consider par. And it's not a shot against anyone or anything. It just is what it is. You can't talk about this also without not talking about the genocide that happened in the 1970s. And why I say that is because the genocide affected the entire education system. So the people that were killed during the genocide were teachers, doctors, lawyers, blah, 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 blah. Anybody that was of any kind of intellect. As a matter of fact, even wearing glasses was enough to get you executed in Cambodia. So, not only is it a complete generation that was executed, but it was an entire class system that was as well. So now to rebuild education in the country when literally a generation ago that was removed, we certainly got to experience what that was. However, I'll tell you this: the Cambodian people as a whole are just extraordinary, and education to the individuals there is very, very, very high. Their commitment to it, the opportunity isn't always there. And I certainly would love Geno to talk a little bit about his first day. We'll back up. So we got to train people in critical poverty. There was 21 hairstylists that made it to Cambodia from all over the world. Geno and I were the only Americans. Alana's Canadian, and I think we're the only ones from this region. Everybody else was from Australia, except for one very, very lovely British couple that was there that I'm sure we'll get into. Between the 21, we had 6. Go ahead.
Rukshar was from Dubai.
Yeah. Rukshar was from Dubai. Yeah. My apologies to Rukshar. So it was 21 hairstylists from around the world, and we had 6 locations that we worked out of. And how it works is on Monday morning we all got a home assignment, so it was a place that we were going to be for the week. However, in midweek they switch us around to kind of taste the other locations. I was very fortunate because I actually worked in 4 of the locations, so 4 out of the 6. But really 4 out of the 5, because the 6th location, no men were allowed. Those were definitely people that had come out of some pretty traumatic situations, and was like a trauma center. So there were no men allowed. There were no cameras allowed. There were none of that kind of stuff. But with good reason, we all know why that was. So I felt very fortunate about there. Where I was assigned was in a village community center. So it was like a community center as well as a school, which, they didn't know this, but I couldn't have been in a more perfect place because there were so many little kiddos running around, which just stole my heart. That was pretty magical. And then on Wednesday, I got to replace Geno for the day, because I got to work in a prison for the day. So on Wednesday, I worked in the prison for the day. Geno, kind of pick us up. I'm curious as to what your Monday was like at the prison, because you and I talked a little bit off, that afternoon when I got back, just about our own insecurities and anxieties. And I definitely want to talk about those, but we'll get into that. I have some thoughts about that.
Well, I think you were first off supposed to be in the prison the whole week, but then they flipped the script. So I got sent in. So I don't think I was even planning to. I maybe would have visited on the day that we switched, but they put me into place into the men's part of the prison. And we also, like I said, helped the women's side of the prison because they, of course, keep them separated. But I think boys will be boys and they like to yell at each other and have some fun and banter with each other. But it didn't hit me, honestly. The tuk-tuk ride that we took from Siem Reap to the prison was about maybe 35, maybe 40 minutes. And it didn't hit me until we entered the prison gates and got into the prison on the tuk-tuk. And I was like, wow, I'm actually going to teach in a prison. And then these thoughts go through your head, which they didn't appear earlier, but the thoughts were, oh my God, I'm going to have inmates with sharp scissors in their hands. My back can be turned. I don't know them from anywhere. And you have all, and then also you're like, oh, well, they don't speak English, and how's the interpretation going to go? And oh my baby Jesus, just the first 30, 45 minutes, I had the pleasure of teaching with Jerry, which she's absolutely amazing. And she's just so patient and like a mother. We settled down, our nerves were, and as soon as we got into the flow with the boys and they started doing things, I was like, this is going to be absolutely amazing. Talking about education and how we take it for granted. I teach seminar all over the world, and usually you do about 3, I won't say models, but you do mannequin heads, 3 haircuts. And, at the end of the day, people are exhausted and going like, oh, that was a long day. I'm telling you, there was, I think there was 14 boys that we taught, and each boy did 9 haircuts a day. I mean, and without complaining, without, I was blown away by how important, because it really is live or die situation. When they get out, are they going to have an education to look forward to not send them back to prison? And that was really important to me as my mission at the end of the week, to graduate them and to really get them on their feet. And I cried like a baby when graduation happened. There was moments in time when I was teaching that I just looked at them and I started bawling. I had to excuse myself and go out of the room, because it really is something that you see that's life changing. And that they now have a skill set that they can go forward and make money. Again, it's poverty. It's critical poverty. So that was amazing to me.
So a couple of the things that, one of the quotes that I came home with, Geno, and I think you'll agree, is that when opportunity is your only distraction, you learn very quickly. We taught 6 haircuts over 4 days, essentially. I mean, they say it's 5 days, but really it's 4 days because we have a graduation day. And it was amazing, like both in the prison, both in the community center, and all the locations that I got to work at. Like, everybody was so hyper focused on what needed to be done, and there wasn't the distraction of like, oh, what's going on over there, or am I doing it right compared to that person? It was just like, of course I'm speaking generally, but it was so hyper focused that they were just learning. And for again, generally speaking, you would teach them one time and they would just get it, or you'd make one correction and they would get it and they would see it. And it was really, really kind of magical to see. Like, I would imagine within those 6 haircuts that we taught, if we did it in like a US hair school, it would take 6 months to kind of learn, and it's not a kind of bash or anything like that, but it's the realization of how good we have it when it comes to like everything in our lives. When opportunity is the only distraction, you learn, and that's very much how I felt throughout the entire weekend. Just blown away and amazed at how quickly that people adapted and picked up the skill set.
Can I?
One more thing, Geno, I want to talk, because
yeah.
I think you and I talked about this a little bit, was like when Geno's first day, and this was not the case at the community center in the village. It was in a school. They teach English at the school, so we had plenty of translators and stuff. But Geno and I were talking, and if I don't remember the conversation, Geno, I want you to jump in a little bit. But like when Geno first got to the prison, like some of the guys, they couldn't even identify these characters as their name. So it's like even below. It's even like written down. So it's even below like illiteracy. It's like they can't even recognize their name. And then like a lot of the guys, this was the same in the community center too. But hyper focus in the prison is that a lot of the guys, or the people, will say, a lot of the people didn't even know if they were left or right handed because they'd never held a pencil or they'd never held a pen. So it was, so it was a little bit of a challenge. Geno told me that he would hand them shears, and whichever hand they grabbed it with, that was the assumption of what hand they were. And then we could like get them the proper shears to use. Like again, certainly in the prison, it was like it's beyond. It's lower than any kind of par of education that it was. And also, and just kind of a funny anecdote as well, is that they used their comb like a caveman, kind of like there wasn't a lot of like dexterity in there. They certainly, because not using a pen or a pencil, I think, and of course I'm pop psychology here, but because they don't use they use a pencil, like the manual dexterity wasn't there. So everything was like real, like tough and like caveman, like the way that they move through the hair. But by the end of the week, they adapted. They figured it out. And that was kind of like what we walked into and then kind of what we left. Sorry, Gab, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. A quick question that just popped up because you mentioned the shears and the combs. Was that stuff? Because obviously we know in the industry shears can be super expensive, especially depending on, the brand that you're buying from. Are those tools and stuff that everyone's using, are those like donated, or sort of, do you know how that works at all? Just because that's something that I'm sort of curious about since you mentioned it.
Yeah, yes, I asked around to all of my local resources and certainly to some brand partners and stuff about if anybody had anything that they could donate as far as combs or shears or capes. I will tell you this, and I hope I'm not speaking out of school, but what they're in desperate need of, and this seems so basic to me, what they're in desperate need of is white capes because you're working on like literal dirt floors at times. Because you're working in even at the prison there, because you're working in like a room, and most of the light that comes in isn't from overhead; it's literally from the windows. That there's definitely dark spots in the room, and because it's an Asian culture and everybody has really dark hair, certainly as an educator, as you're trying to train as many people as you can, it's really hard to see what the haircut actually looks like across the room because you actually have to go up there and look at it because the hair blends in with the cape. So they're in desperate need of white capes just so they can see, so the learners can see it and the educators can see it. So yeah, so to answer your question, yeah, we got tons of donations. I know somebody here brought literally 5 suitcases of donations there, Geno.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Can I with that intro into that, can I just give shout outs because again, it takes a tribe, it takes a
Please
team
do.
and a community. So literally 2 days before I left to Cambodia, I threw an underground hair show here in LA. And you know, people are super kind. The community is super kind. I always say always to me, but to general to everybody. The companies that really came out, the big companies, Hairbrain, they support my crazy ideas. Anytime I think of something weird, wacky, they come out. They donated so much stuff. It was insane. Brand thousands of YS Park combs. We all know how expensive YS Park combs are. YS Park brushes, things of that nature. I can go on clips, everything. Yeah, color space. My beautiful friend Lupe Voss, she's been my ride or die for 20 something years. We've been together working, and she comes out, she supports her company, supported everything I did. My company, Gray Label, who I come out and, try to put as much money and items together. But not only that, the people who showed up, the attendees that showed up to the show, requirement was every single person who came out had to donate something, brand new clips, there's combs, TC, everything. So I came to Cambodia with 5 giant suitcases full of goods, and it was about $850 overweight fee by the end of it when I brought it to Cambodia. You know, I looked at it and it's an investment for somebody who, again, it's investment for people who don't have anything. So I just wanted to give that quick shout out to everybody because they were absolutely awesome. And I can say Okun Tata.
That's wonderful. It's amazing. I want to sort of rewind a little bit,
Yeah.
because obviously you've kind of touched on your experience and everything. But was this both of your first years doing HairAid? Corey, I know it was yours, yes, but Geno, was it your first year as well?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Do you want to talk about how you found out about it and then like first got involved, sort of like how it was to even just like begin and start the process and get invited to get to do this?
Geno,
Sorry?
you're up.
Oh,
You're up.
I'm up. I'll make it quick, make it easy. When I built my company, I heard a quote about 15 years ago, and it didn't resonate until later. If you want to change the world, you build a business. It was done by a big billionaire entrepreneur. I forgot where I heard it and how I heard it. And that when it planted the seed about something in this world that I needed to do later down the road, and how was I going to do it? And so I built my business to do this exact thing, is to go around and give people the skill set and the gift that has been given to me so generously in this craft. And then I talked to my business coach and I said, this is what I want to do. And he says, why don't you search out, he asked, is there anybody else who's doing what you want to do? And I was like, I've never searched it out. I don't know. And so I started to go on the interwebs and, I found not many, just maybe 3 or 4. And HairAid is the one that really stood out to me. I looked at their website. Selena was really quickly to jump on a Zoom call, not knowing that she was from Australia. So, we're just trying to coordinate time zones. I talked to her and she really, I'm not even say sold me. The moment I jumped on with her and I saw how passionate this was to her and what it does to people, it was easy. It was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer for me.
Corey, what about you?
So again, we're trying to avoid name dropping, but there's no way around it if this is the conversation. Is when we interviewed Tabitha Coffey in 2019, it was her passion project. So because it was her passion project, she had me. I mean, when Tabitha speaks, like she speaks with so much passion anyway. So to watch her like go up just another like a couple degrees, telling us her experience with HairAid and how passionate she was about it. I was in from the moment that Tabitha started talking about. It's like I need to do this. And then we were scheduled to do it in 2021, but as we all know, nobody was traveling to Southeast Asia in 2021. So, basically last summer, Anna texted me or DM'd me and said, "Hey, we're getting geared up for Cambodia. Are you interested?" And immediately my heart said, "Yes, I'm in. I'm 100% in." But it literally took me about another 6 months to 6 months, 6 weeks to formally commit. And honestly, it was my wife that kicked me in the ass. She was like, "What are you doing?" I was just, again, it's the logistics of it. I think I was getting like stuck up in the logistics of it. And she basically said, "You have to do this. You've got to do this. There's no way around it." So once she put the thorn in me to start, that was it. I knew that I knew that I had to do it. More than wanted to do it. And she kind of like gave me permission to have to do it, if that makes sense. So big shout out to her for that strong encouragement. So that's kind of how we got involved, and then from there it was just about planning. To talk about the planning, I mean, there was a lot to do.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, is sort of like what prep you had to do beforehand to sort of get ready, because obviously you're going to a whole new culture and a whole new thing. So yeah, walk us through that.
So the actual HairAid process was very easy. They actually have like a monthly payment. And the project itself, I think, costs like about US dollars, but it changes every day because of the exchange rate. But I think it was about, for me, it was about $1,600 for the actual HairAid. That doesn't include flights or anything like that. What that does include is that includes your week at the hotel. That includes the actual project. That includes insurance. That includes that kind of insurance for the project, not insurance for you, but insurance for the project. So it included all of that. Geno, was that about your price coming in? About 16?
Yeah, I think, it was about, 16, 18, I think it was, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's something. It just depends on the exchange rate. Like every day, it would go up and down. I was watching it, going, "Oh man, I should have done it today." I would have saved $4 or whatever it was. But to sign up for the project is very easy. You just do that. And then from there, we had to schedule our flight. Again, from the U.S., it's a big, long. It's definitely an expensive flight.
Mhm.
I reached out to my clients. I mean, my clients definitely supported me going. I did a GoFundMe. They supported the GoFundMe like crazy. There's no way in the world I could have done it without them. But with great support from them in all aspects, money and interest in what I was doing, and understanding that I had to do this, and not giving me a lot of shit when I was taking the time off. But like they supported me in all of those ways. And then it was about booking the flight. You had to book a flight. You had to get a visa. You had to buy insurance. You had to buy travel insurance. Certainly if you got sick or something over there. And then I made an appointment with my doctor back in February. We had like a travel appointment to see what kind of vaccines we needed and things. For me, Cambodia doesn't require anything really. Like there was nothing in my shot that I was required to get before getting to Cambodia. There was a few things, being over 50, there's a few things that I just had to do just to do. I did do a lot of vaccines and stuff, but it was mainly, I just didn't want to get over there and get sick. Like, you spend 6 months planning something. Like my goal was to not get sick when I got there. And then, and there's other stuff you can't avoid. There's always tummy stuff when you go to Southeast Asia and stuff like that you have to avoid on spot. You can't get a vaccine for that. but that's just part of it as well. So yeah, I mean, during it was signing up is very, very easy. You just go to I think it's hairaid.au.com or hairaid.com.au or something. It is an Australian NGO. And Geno, actually, I was making fun of myself earlier this week, and I wanted to know how much you knew. But so during the project, Gabby, like every night we went out, or a few nights we went out to different restaurants around Siem Reap. And I didn't realize till halfway through the week that all the restaurants were NGOs as well.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's like, yeah, it was, again, I think it was Wednesday night or something. I go, oh, this is another NGO. And you're like, of course, you idiot. So that's a really cool too. So not only, this is actually cool, is that the hotel that you stay at Siem Reap is an NGO. What's an NGO? They are supporting people to get out of critical poverty by teaching them hospitality skills. Every restaurant that we went to was taking people out of critical poverty to teach them hospitality skills. Siem Reap certainly, their economy is tourism and is hospitality. So it was really cool to be like, it was really cool to support the other NGOs that were there that were doing the same type of mission that we were doing. But literally, it was like halfway through the week before I realized that was the continued mission that we were on that I wasn't aware of. But felt like a dork just like not getting that
No,
while we
yeah.
were there.
Well, even
But
the group from Ireland when we were on the elephant sanctuary, they were NGO coming in from Ireland to teach English as a skill set. And again, everyone that you meet, I feel this is just my take. Everyone that we met there was there for a reason. They were there for a reason, and they were there to give back. Anyone you talk to that wasn't from Cambodia, you would talk to them, and every single person moved to Cambodia for a reason. Either they moved there, which I found out some people were there 20 years ago, fell in love with it, and said, you know what, I need to get back to the US or Australia. They go back, and their heart is in Cambodia. And all of those NGOs, I found out, most of them went back maybe 15 years later to start the things that were in their heart for the Cambodian people. And that's, I mean, amazing, amazing.
yeah, and for anybody that's listening in, because I didn't know this a couple years ago, an NGO is just like an international like nonprofit. So it's nonprofits that are set up in different countries other than the U.S. They use NGO, we use nonprofits. So that's basically what an NGO is. So it's all these nonprofits that were set up around Cambodia to help people in critical poverty. Yeah, Gab, go.
Yeah, love that. Quick thing I do want to mention because you did bring up Tabitha. You guys did an episode at ABS, right, where you kind of talked about and previewed the experience. Yeah. So I just want to bring that up to people that if you're listening to this and you're super interested, to go back and listen to that episode as well, because it was a really good episode.
Yeah, and that was before I went to HairAid. So basically, it was just a very personal podcast that I did with her. Like, tell me about the experience. So she spent an hour, like, telling me about the entire experience. So that was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tabitha.
Yeah. Just thought I'd plug that. Okay, let's dive into it. Like, I mean, I know you've kind of teased and talked a little bit about it, but I really want to give you both the floor to just talk about your experience and what moments stand out to you the most and sort of what the day-to-day was like, because I'm excited to just really hear about it and imagine other people are as well.
Go ahead, Jay.
Yo, well, shoot, well, starting off, I definitely suggest if you're gonna do hair aid, which all of you are gonna do hair aid, go a couple days early, really take in the scenery because once you're at it, you're at it. I mean, it is longer days. You usually end up having to ship out early in the morning. The fun thing is in the morning, everyone is assigned again to a place and groups. And it was fun for me to see people in the morning and go, hey, how you doing? Okay, bye, we'll see you later. And seeing people ship off at different times to these different places to teach. And so that, like I said, if you're every day, go see the sites, go again, spend your money. I made a reel on like give Cambodia your money. They need it. And also it's just so beautiful. Why not give them your money? And again, working through the whole time, I want to speak and Corey and I can dig deeper into on a daily basis of what you do. Uh, yeah, go see everything, spend some extra time, even maybe spend a couple days afterwards. When you're when you're with Hair Aid, give with your whole heart, which everyone, if you're there, you know you're going to do that anyway. But the daily basis, every day, you get assigned to a place, which mine was now switched to the prison. And I believe, Corey, if I'm right, was it Wednesday we switched different locations?
Yeah, it was Wednesday that I went into the prison, and then you
Yeah,
wherever you ended up on Wednesday.
yeah. So the whole week I was assigned to the prison, and then Wednesday we do a little switcheroo. So you get to experience and teach in other places. So Wednesday, I taught in the morning at Heart Prince, a hub, another NGO, doing amazing work in Cambodia. And then I jumped in a tuk tuk and rushed over to the Royal Spa and Salon, I believe. And That is a testament to what HairAid does. The woman who owns the salon went through the program. Now she owns this beautiful salon in Siem Reap. She has two assistants, and also she helps to train other women in the community hairdressing skills that she learned. So it's a full circle when you get this, when you actually get to see what's happening to the people and how it changed their lives. That to me is amazing. And when I was there teaching, there was two Westerners getting their hair did, which, that is a testament because I know they're the Westerners. If you can get that clientele there, you can make some money. So that to me,
Yeah.
I just was amazed the
Can
whole time. I was like, oh, this is crazy. This is cool. I love this
Gino, I
stuff.
want to jump in there. I want to jump
Yeah.
in there because I got to work at Royal as well, and I actually got to interview Sotharan, who's the woman that owns the project or owns the salon. So Sotharan, again, very unique. She also came out of some pretty we're there for a reason. It's all critical poverty. So Sotharan opens a salon. She's training hairstylists that are now working in other hair salons around Siem Reap. And two of the women that she's trained have actually opened their own salon. So it's kind of like the ripple that Selena has started. Now you're starting to see these waves grow, and you are in fact changing lives there. Whenever you do any kind of humanitarian thing, or whenever you do anything like this, and maybe Geno didn't feel this, but I felt it a little bit. Was you're doing the work and you're like, am I really making a difference? Are people really going to, learn from this experience? But then you see like what Sotharan's done and you're like, oh my gosh, that was it. It was definitely the most emotional spot that I was at, in the sense that like, you're seeing the work grow, and you're seeing that it's not just changing the person that you trained, but it's changing her community because she's stepping up to train the community. And I just found that so magical and emotional. That was without a doubt one of the highlights of the week. Sorry, Geno.
Oh my God, don't be sorry. Absolutely. But yeah, can I add also the thing that I learned about this whole experience is I was I believe it was Heart Prince. I was talking to the people there who, again, opened this beautiful NGO, and they said a certificate of completion is like a diploma from Harvard. So this is how much this means to the people is because there no one spends or no one can spend the time to get the education or have Westerners come in and give education. So they work really hard to get this certificate is because that certificate, then they can go off and say, hey, like go to another salon and say, I completed this program. Now I'm eligible to I can cut hair. And it's so important. And I was looking at it and I was like, oh, okay, we're going to give a certificate. But when they put that in perspective to me of saying it's like you graduating from Harvard. And I was like, wow. So this was on Wednesday and I was already giving my whole heart. After Wednesday, I was like, okay, now it's game time. Like it's going to go into overdrive. And I'm going to make sure that the people that I am with they're going to get the certificate. There's no way they're not going to. And then again, successfully, Corey and I and the rest of the team there that was there to do what we did it.
Yeah. To add on to that too, like don't get it twisted. This is tough. It's tough on the educators and it's really tough on the learners. They have to do, out of all the techniques that we teach, they have to do 2 haircuts of each technique. And these are full haircuts that they have to complete, at least 2 of them, and 2 of them that are at par. Right. So like if they were below par, if they're not understanding the concept, then they had to do another haircut. So, if you're talking about 6 haircuts, so that's at least 12 haircuts for them to do over a 4-day period so that they can get their certificate. To fast forward a little bit to Friday and graduation, as a graduation gift, everybody gets a full kit. So they get brand new shears, they get brand new brand new clips, brand new combs, and a cutting cape and a little satchel to kind of hold everything in. So, for them to graduate, that's the award for graduating. And I'll tell you this too, I think, and don't quote me on the numbers, but I think we had 150 students and we graduated 117 of them. So not everybody graduates, it's not, it's not given. It's not a given, I should say. And let me tell you, it's much easier to graduate 117 than to not graduate whatever that that number is. It's tough not graduating people, but
Yeah.
that's the way that the project is. I will say, if you're considering going and if you want really real talk, is I think you have to surrender to the process. HairAid teaches haircutting in a very specific way. We know how brilliant you are. We know how great of a haircutter you are, but there's a way to do these things. And HairAid, again, they've done this 50 times, so they've worked out the kinks about what works and what doesn't work. It's you're teaching a very basic type haircut. However, there's a very specific way to teach it. So if you're going to go, you have to surrender to the process. You have to surrender to what the whole thing was. Geno, for me, about 2 months before the project, I interviewed this guy named Light Watkins, and he was giving me advice about traveling alone. And basically, he said you're on 2 journeys. The first journey is the one that you plan. It's the airplanes, it's the hotels, it's the excursions, it's all that. But the second journey that you're on is the one that the universe needs from you. And that one tends to feel like stress. And those happen in between all those plans that you made. And he said, I encourage you to stay present in those moments. What I didn't realize when he was telling me this, that I learned in Cambodia, is that presence means to surrender. To surrender to that moment that you can maintain presence. And that means get out of your own head. That means, surrender your ego, let that stuff go, and to really experience it. The prison, like to back up as far as like the surrender and the trust, like, Wednesday morning walking into the prison, that was definitely the most stress that I was under for the entire week. And like you said, you're training a technique, your back is to, would you say that how many were in the room? 12 people were in the room? 12?
Yeah,
12,
yeah, about 12, yeah.
12 convicts, 12 inmates who have shears in their hand. It's impossible not to think of every like a prison movie or prison story you've ever heard in the US that, honestly, Geno, I was like, well, Geno made it this far. So he didn't get killed after his first 2 days, so hopefully I don't get killed here. But I think it's also natural to process those things, but it's definitely in your head there, and then you just realize that they're just a bunch of goofballs. The guys are just a bunch of goofballs, and my goal there, honestly, Geno, was just to celebrate them. I never got the sense that they had been celebrated as individuals. So my goal was to celebrate them as individuals. And then the entire room then started to celebrate each other as individuals, and whatever tasks they did, like cut a straight line. Like it was like they won the Super Bowl or something. Like we definitely celebrated them a bunch there. And also, I actually told this, but there was no English at all. If we can talk about communication real quick.
Yeah, please do.
It was really wonderful. Again, I came from the school, so the school, we had tons of translators, so there wasn't a big need for me to need to learn any Khmer, which is the language that they speak. But when I was in the prison, we only had one translator between the 2 rooms, so we had a lot of time where we had to learn to communicate without a translator. And what was wonderful, Geno, and I don't know if this is your experience because we haven't talked about it, but like the guys there was teaching me the words to help them. So they were teaching me the Khmer words that I needed to know to help them. And I just thought like, that was just so magical to me. In the moment, it was just, we do what we do. But then to kind of come back and go like, my gosh, like they set me up to help them. And I thought that was wonderful. And you're teaching a haircut, so literally you only needed to know about 5 to 10 words. But it was really kind of cool to watch that. However, that being said, no English, no communication. So I come back from lunch, and my guy, what was it? Was it Et Tom? Was that his name, Geno? Tom?
Seth Tom.
Seth Tom. So Seth Tom, I'm teaching a technique, and he gets in my face, Gabby, and he goes like this. John Cena! And he starts running his face. And like, I was like, that's the only English we know here? So that became our communication level. So we started celebrating everything. Every time they did a task, from a cheer, yeah, we were just going, John Cena. And then whenever somebody accomplished something and we started celebrating John Cena, the entire room would erupt into John Cena. And it was just like the most magical time, man. It was like, it just became pure joy in the afternoon once we learned this. It was cool. It was really cool. I don't know how John Cena cuts through all cultural stuff, because if you'd asked me, I wasn't even sure if they'd ever seen a TV or certainly the internet. So to know to know that they connected with John Cena, I was all about the John Cena celebration.
That's funny. He's actually going to be in Chicago at the time that we're recording this upcoming weekend. So that's crazy.
Wait, Gabby, are you going to take a photo with him?
I may. I don't know. I'm working the event, so maybe I'll see him around.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
I'll mention it if I see him. Um,
yeah.
but I mean, like, I'm just kind of okay. You know what? I'll ask you, Corey, because I noticed you lifted up your hand and it looks like you're wearing a red band. Is that? There's a picture that you sent me. I did a press release that we'll link in the show notes, and we should also link the episode with Tabitha as well, just so people can find it very easily. And there's this picture that you sent me along with the press release, of everyone, and I was like trying to look at the picture and be like, what is happening here? But it looks like everyone's wearing these red bands, and then it looks like they're holding something as well, and there's something in the center of the room. Like, just read the press release, look at that picture, because it's towards the bottom of the press release. Please explain to me what is happening there and give us some context for that.
Okay, so we were blessed enough to get a water blessing from a monk. And when Siem Reap, so I was in Phnom Penh for a couple of days before I was there. And Phnom Penh is very much like Manhattan, Chicago. It's a big city. It's a big city, and there's a lot of action, and like it operates as a big city. Siem Reap is a spiritual pilgrimage, certainly for Buddhist and certainly for even Hindu, because that's a whole nother story. I'll take us off. And so we were blessed enough to have a monk blessing while we are there. It's a monk water blessing. It's very spiritual. It's very, I don't even know what other words to give other than it's spiritual. It feels good. It feels like in the moment. What they do is it's kind of like the Catholic like water blessing, like we're getting like, he's throwing water, and then at the end, at some point, he threw a big bucket, and like half the people got really wet, but that was pretty cool too. And then what the monk does is he ties the red band around your hand, but it's really crazy because he doesn't touch you, so he kind of like ties it, and he doesn't make any skin contact or anything with anybody that was there. And then, and correct me if I'm wrong, Geno, but the idea is that you are now on a journey, and when you finish whatever journey that you're on, the bracelet will fall off, so it'll start to like fall apart. I've got like a couple strings that are here a little bit loose today. Here
Mine
we are,
fell
like a
off.
month. Yours
Yeah,
fell off.
mine fell off
So
a
so
couple days before I left Ireland.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so that's the idea, is that even if you don't know what the journey that you're on, when you complete whatever task, whatever journey, whatever psychological thing that you're dealing with, once you've completed that, the bracelet falls off to let you know that you're done, that you've completed your task. So they said it could last 2 years, or it could last like an afternoon. You just don't know when it's gonna pop off. But that's kind of the way that I understood it, Gino.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and I was actually really bummed. I was out visiting some friends, and I felt this is how weird this is. I felt something tickling my hand. It was tickling my wrist, I should say, and I just happened to look down, and I caught it right before it actually fell off my wrist. So I still have it. I was super bummed though, because I was like, I want it on for years, whatever this good feeling is, and I want it. And so I guess I completed my journey. I actually looked inward to find out what that was. Um, I'm not sure yet. I think maybe I'm still on it, even though it fell off. But yeah, I was quite bummed that it did fall off though.
If nothing else, it just reminds me to stay connected to Cambodia.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've mentioned it enough, but the Cambodian people are absolutely positively extraordinary. I told anybody that would listen while we were there that if I was younger, I don't know if I'd have gone home. I really, really, really love the country. I really, really, really love the culture. Much more Siem Reap than, no shade on Phnom Penh. It's great too, but just that spiritual connection that was in Siem Reap, and just the special people there. Everybody that we had contact with, not just hospitality people, but everybody was absolutely remarkable. Um,
Can
that
I
this
just
is
throw? Can I throw this about the people? Corey and I introduced him to. I took a tour privately when I first got in, just to kind of really connect to the ground of Cambodia, and also connect my energy before I knew I was going to expend a lot of energy. I met this wonderful guy named Chenda, and I ended up telling Corey we have to get on a group, and then Chenda happened to be on the second group that Corey and I went on, and this is how amazing it is. At the end of the week, and I decided to go to Angkor Wat at sunrise, which is very special, and very crowded. Corey and I were hanging out, we're doing our thing, and all of a sudden we hear a guy yell our name, and it's Chenda, our group tour guide, who's giving a big tour. He came up and talked to us for about 20 minutes while his tour group is doing their thing. And this is how amazing it is. He even asked us, and we couldn't do it. I know if we could, we would have, but he asked us if we wanted to join the tour group for free. He wanted us to be along on the journey. And I was so heartbroken because I just wanted to hug Chen and just go like, yes. But we were on a time crunch because we had to fly out and get to our destinations where we're going. But that's how amazing you meet these people. And if you've ever been on a tour group, you pay for it. They're very private, and this is the way it is and how it goes. He invited us. He wanted us on it, and that meant a lot to me at that moment. Like I was like, okay, I'm sold. This place, I'm leaving this place even better than anything else. So that was amazing.
Great. I love to hear that. And since you're talking about that, you're talking about the cultures of different people, and you touched on it very briefly in the beginning of our conversation that you two were the only Americans that were a part of the program. And you are touching about it, like coming across different cultures. Do you want to sort of just elaborate more on like what that was like and sort of how that impacted you?
Well, about being the only Americans, yeah, I mean, it was, I don't want to use the word disappointed because there was nothing about the thing that was disappointing. But I do wish that there were more Americans that could make the trip. HairAid is in, and Geno, I'll probably forget a couple, but they have projects in the Philippines. They have projects in Indonesia, which is Bali. They have projects in Cambodia, I think Thailand, and then Guatemala. Guatemala is certainly as an American is much easier to get to. From the DC area, it's about a 5 or 6 hour flight. The flights aren't very expensive. So, you certainly can go to Guatemala and experience it there. However, when it comes to Cambodia, like it is definitely a special place in my heart. As a matter of fact, I think I left some of my heart there. It's a really, really special place. It's never lost on me, and I'm gonna try not to cry when I say this. Whew, hold on. It's never lost on me that hairdressing has brought me around the world. Like when when Geno and I are watching the sun rise above Angkor Wat, I never thought I would ever make it to Asia. I never thought I'd make it to Angkor Wat, one of the 8 wonders of the world. It's the largest religious temple in the world, and to think that like me, a friggin' idiot, is standing there at the foot of Angkor Wat, watching this and to think that hairdressing brought me here. Nothing else, like nothing else brought me here but hairdressing. When we were at, which is the great temple that Tomb Raider was filmed at with all the trees that grow through it, like it's like that's a magically special place as well. And again, never lost on me that hairdressing brought me there. It's incredible. If you're listening in, it's incredible what this industry can do for you. It's incredible what this industry can do to you. It's also amazing, and I mean this sincerely, Geno, like the people that you meet and how special the people are that are there. I mean, I'm changed in the sense that, and a lot thank you to Geno. Geno kind of taught me that, like, if you want to do more charity stuff, there's ways to do it. And like I texted my wife halfway through the week, and it's like, I have to do more of this. I have to do more HairAid type stuff. I've got to do more stuff like this. So I don't know if that answered any kind of questions or anything, but I'm really, really, really connected to Cambodia. If you're considering HairAid, do any of them, but I highly recommend Cambodia. And it's honestly the only one I can speak to. But it's really great. Like Geno said, especially if you're coming from the US, get there a little bit early. The time change is tough. It's 11 hours for me and 14 hours for Geno. So, the time change, you want to be there, you want to be there and you want to be your best, so plan on getting there early. And I will say, I think I stayed about 2 days too late. Like I should have gone right after. I should have actually left when Geno left. To talk about Geno's flight. So Geno was supposed to leave at 5 p.m., but he got an email saying that they moved his flight to 11 a.m. So had he had a 5 o'clock flight, we would have definitely been joining Shenda on his on his tour. These two dudes just showed up. But at the same time, like I said, every day was an act of surrender. You just okay, my flight's at 11, I'll be there. Literally no use in putting any other energy other than I'll be there. There's no use in putting any energy that these prisoners are going to kill me other than to be like, I'm here. I'm here in service. So whatever that service looks like, you have to surrender to it. Anyways, I don't know if that answered anything, but that was my tirade.
Well, I was going to say, can I touch upon exactly what you said? I'll tell you what the wonderful thing I got. I got so many. I can't even just. But one of the things that really I found is when there's a. I'm not going to speak upon all the things that are happening in this world. There's always things happening in this world. But what I found really heartfelt is when I was there, I had one mission. And my mission was to get these people out of where they're at. That was my mission. I didn't know what was happening back home. I didn't check on what was happening in world news. I didn't check out what was happening in California. And when I came back from this whole experience, I told all of my clients, anyone who wanted to speak about things that were happening in the world that's very volatile, I said, you know what? And I told them this, I'm protecting my energy right now. I said, this energy that I have that I'm bringing back from Cambodia, I am protecting it. I don't want to, again, and I said it in very nice ways. I didn't go, but I was like, I know there's a lot of things, and there's always going to be a lot of things in this world to talk about. But right now, I'm on this high from Cambodia. I feel good, and I'm protecting it, and I still protect it to this day. And again, just even being honest and sharing and reliving Corey's and I experience with HairAid there just brings back and floods my head with so many great memories. And that's why when Corey asked to say, hey, let's do a podcast on this, I'm like, yes, it's because I want to bring more awareness to the 2 Americans that went over there. I want to bring more awareness to people that, yes, charity is expensive. It's not cheap. It's not cheap by any means. But what you get back and how you, when you come back to America, you are going to be the biggest change person and advocate for those who can't deliver for themselves. So that's still my journey right now as we speak.
Yeah, and that's priceless.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I know you've kind of touched on this, but I guess to maybe like sum it up in like just like one sentence, what were big takeaways or things that you sort of learned from the experience? Like if you have like one takeaway where you're like, this is it. This is like what really stands out to me to sort of nail it down for the people.
Can I just say resilience?
No, Geno, go. Resilience.
I was going to say the resilience of humans. That's my one word. I'm not going to liberate on that. The resilience of what people do when they're put in certain situations, and if they're there for people to offer to give back to them, it's the resilience of how hard and what they're going to do to change their lives.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. We haven't talked about this, but my first 2 days that I was there, I went to the Genocide Museum and I went to the killing fields, which I tried to avoid at first. But again, it's a very recent history for them. It's from 1975 to 1979. That is within my lifetime. So to think that these horrific acts could happen, a generation ago, and then to meet the Cambodian people and just how unbelievably kind, unbelievably sweet they are. That was an act of resilience for me is to watch how resilient these people are. There wasn't one person that Geno and I came in contact with, not one person that isn't directly impacted by what happened in the 1970s in Cambodia. Yeah. And I apologize to Chenda because he's about my age. So I was asking him, about his childhood and stuff, but he was also willing to share it, like he grew up in a camp. And so, to Geno's point, resilience, these people are resilient, and guess what? They're no different than us. We can be as resilient as we need to be. What was my big learn? I think I've said it 1,000 times on the podcast, is I learned to surrender. I think that resilience comes to that surrender, just like it is what it is, and live with it for what it is. I have actively been trying to keep that as a part of my personality. Just surrender to it, because surrender equals presence. And I've been struggling for years about what presence was, and the lesson for me over there that presence is surrender. You surrender to the moment, and you can stay present in what is, not what you think is.
Okay, so this is something else you sort of touched on, but again, I want to make sure I'm getting everything in. You've talked about like getting there early and doing some different travel and going to different museums and anything. And Corey, even when you sent over that little press release for me, you ended it by listing some of like the must-see things to do like outside of HairAid. Is there anything else you didn't mention that you want to touch on of like, this is something you have to do while you're there?
I mean, I don't, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to do, I think it's important to say too, yes, you're there for charity, but you should have a good time. You're going to have a good time in the project and with the people that you're in, but take the time to have a good time. Take the time to do the touristy things. Take the time to go to the temples. Gino and I, we went to Kulin Mountain. I cannot recommend going to Kulin Mountain enough. It's an education. We got to swim in waterfalls, which I never thought that would happen. Certainly not a waterfall in Southeast Asia. We got to swim in waterfalls. If you saw any of my posts, from the cliffs and stuff, you saw those incredible drone videos that were taken. Well, that wasn't a drone video. That was Chenda. That was, what's funny about those, Gino, is like, and people were asking me about it. Like, they were like, was anybody at the cliffs? I go, no, you have no idea. The cliffs were packed with people, but Chenda's yelling at people both in English and in Khmer that they're in his shot. And he's like, get out of my shot, get out of my shot. And they were like drone videos, so you had to push people way far away, and they just looked like drone videos. They weren't. He was just sitting up on a higher cliff, like taking these, like, he just had the angle, man, and he had the talent. Like, I was scared he was going to walk off a cliff taking our videos, but yeah, he was remarkable. So yeah, I mean, Kula Mountain is awesome. The elephants, did we even talk about the elephants? Like, we went to an elephant sanctuary. Holy cow, was that incredible. I know people have done it in like Thailand and stuff. What's unique about this elephant sanctuary is that all these elephants used to work at the temples, and they would do elephant rides, and then both the state, the country, and the family decided that probably isn't awesome for the elephants anymore, so they retired them into like this 1,100 acre forest that's at the base of Kulin Mountain. So actually, if you see that same cliff video that Chenda took, that forest below us that you see, that's where the elephants live. So we got to visit them, which is really, really cool. That was very cool. Definitely the temples. I'm mad at myself, and I'm a little bit mad at at Geno's flight, because we were going to visit a couple of temples on Sunday there, but we had to get back so we could get Geno to the airport. Definitely take time to do the temples. They are magical. They are incredible. To think that they're 1,000 years old, and it's the largest temple, a religious temple in the world, and that it's like pristine still to this day. And many people have tried to tear it down and blow it up and all these good things, but it still stands in resistance to all of that. You have to do the temples. The food is absolutely extraordinary.
Yum.
Gina, I wish that we had gone to Spoons on the first night, because I would have spent every lunch there. Spoons was my favorite restaurant while we were there. Definitely go to Spoons if you're in town, but all the restaurants that we went to were absolutely incredible. We had a great meal at a hand-stretched noodle place, and I believe our noodles were $3. So, me, Geno, and Alana ate for under like $12. So that was pretty incredible, and the food was outstanding. It just tastes fresh and it's very, very delicious. I tried to convince Geno into eating a fried scorpion, but he would not, or fried scorpion or a fried tarantula. He wouldn't do it though. He talked a lot of shit though, like he was going to do it, but he never
I'm
did.
an adventurous eater, and actually Corey and I sought out in the night market the tarantulas, the bats, and I want to eat them, but I heard that if you're going to eat any of those exotic type of foods, to have someone extra grill it. And the woman didn't have an open fire. She just had them on this like little shopping cart type thing. And they were just sitting out on a like cafeteria style tray. And she had water bugs, water snakes, you name it, you got it. The scorpions were like this big. I want to eat them, but I want to eat them. I've been sick many times eating weird things in the Amazon River. So I was like, I'm not going to get sick again in Cambodia. But next time we go back, Corey, when we go back, I'm going to have that woman have someone else fry it really quickly for me, so I can burn off any bacteria or pathogens or whatever lives on those things, because I want to eat one. So.
No, sir.
No, yeah. Like my cat recently just like found a mouse in our house, and like I think she was playing with it. Like we brought her outside, obviously. My dad was the one that instigated this, not me. And even I was like, no, like I don't want to be near her if she's had that in her mouth. And so I can't even imagine eating it myself. Absolutely not. I'm like anything like that. That is not for me. But props to you, respect. Okay, to sort of wrap us up before I give a little call to action, is there anything else you didn't mention that you want to make sure we get across in this episode? Things you want people to know? Any final thoughts?
For me, I'm going to be frankly honest with you. Like, if I did this 20 years ago, I wasn't ready. If you are not ready to surrender to it, then you're not ready. readdress it later. But if you really want to make a difference, not only in the people that you help's lives, but if you really want to make a difference even in your life, I highly, highly recommend it. I've always been intrigued by mission trips by churches, but not being church affiliated. I just didn't know how to do it. HairAid was kind of my opportunity to be able to do some kind of humanitarian mission work. And it's very much that. So, if you're ready, if that's a calling that you want to do, I cannot recommend HairAid enough. Your cup is full, you are full, and the people that you get to help, their cups are full too. And very, very grateful that you're there. I can't also emphasize that. Like, everybody's mega grateful that you're there, that you took the time and all that stuff. Geno, that's my 2 cents.
Oh gosh, yeah, exactly what Corey's saying. If you are all interested, go on the interwebs, look up HairAid, just do a simple email. That's what I did. I put an email in, and man, they respond back to you. Again, they want people who are interested in going. If you want information, reach out to Corey and myself. You could absolutely DM any of us. I will answer every single question, because I can't speak highly enough about going on this journey. For us coming from America, it is a journey. It's not gonna lie, it takes a long time to get there. But it's that journey. Once you're there, you're like, wow, it was all worth it. And yeah, I can't speak highly enough about just getting on the interwebs. Go to the website, send an email, have a conversation, plant the seed. Hopefully we're planting the seed now, but plant the seed. Even with that, they'll get back to you and chat about it. And if you're really wanting to help those, like Corey said, without being affiliated to any other concept except for yourself and an NGO, this is the way to go. It's the way to do it.
Yeah,
Love to hear
agree.
it.
And what Geno said, yeah. The trip is tough to get there and stuff, but I promise you come home with so much value that you forget that it was a tough trip. You forget that it was anything other than amazing. In the moments it is, but you're never going to have these memories otherwise. And like Geno just said, like, I'm trying like heck to get back. Like, I'm really trying to like heck to get back to Cambodia and to do HairAid and to and even do some other projects with HairAid, but
Well, speaking of that, Corey and we got to, again, work at other places. Heart Prints, I'm actually going back in March with Heart Prints and helping them. They're building a salon, helping also to train those in the salon that they're literally currently building while we were there teaching. They were building it. And they asked if I wanted to come back in March. They have a free room for me to stay. You better believe I'm taking up the free room. I'm going to go over there and teach hair cutting. And I'm ready to go back already. Like, let's do it.
You know
And
what?
Corey,
There's one thing
Corey,
that
you're going
there's
too.
one.
You're going also.
Bro, I hope you're right. There is something that I do want to address, though, is that yes, it's expensive to get there, but once you're there, it's ungodly cheap. Like, I was there, I was on the ground for 16 days, Gabby. I brought $500 cash with me, and I brought $100 home. Like, it's almost hard to spend money there. Like a tuk-tuk ride is going to cost you about $1 or $2. Maybe if it's a little bit longer, it's $3. But I don't think the entire time there, and we're talking round trip, I don't think I ever spent more than like $6 on a tuk-tuk ride. Geno, how much was our ride to Angkor Wat that morning?
Oh,
Wasn't it like $10 or something? And he charged us an extra couple dollars because it was an early morning call because we had to leave at 4 a.m.
It was like $8 or I don't know, 8 or 10. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So it's hard to spend money.
Well, and they wait for you. It could be hours.
Incredible.
Hours, and they will wait for you for like $8. They will sit there for hours until you get back, which is just unheard of.
It is way crazy. I mean, like, the most expensive meal I had was $18, and that was at Spoons, and that was like, again, it was like a 5-star like restaurant. It was like they sit you down, they put the napkin in your lap, they open the menu for you. It's like, I was a little worried, Geno, when we first got there because the service was so great before we even sat down that like I thought like, is this going to be an expensive meal? And then you crack the menu open and it's $8. Now, granted, across the street it might be $4, but it's still $8. You know what I mean? Like, and the food's absolutely incredible. Just everything again tastes delicious and fresh and all those good things. But yeah, so once you get there, you're not really spending any money when once you get there. It's very, very cheap to get around, especially if you fly straight into Siem Reap. It's way cheap. It's way cheap there.
Well,
like
also
I can't even
think about the exchange rate, dollar to dollar, dollar to real. which is
Yeah,
really quite amazing because they accept American money as the same as you would in real, which I don't think anywhere else in the world does a equal amount of transition in currency.
yeah, the US dollar is the preferred dollar, so they want US dollars. So like you don't even like we didn't you don't have to do the exchange rate. And then when you do the exchange rate, it's crazy because it's 4,000 per dollar. You know, like for literally like a one of those giant like bottles of water that would be like $4 or $5 at 7-Eleven. Over there, it was like 50 cents. So it was like and by the way, drink water, drink lots of water because it is ungodly hot. But drink, yeah, you want to drink lots and lots of water. But yeah, once you get there, it's cheap. You almost need no money, when you get there. And
Yeah.
Geno said a free room. Well, let me tell you that like the hotel rooms are about $30 a night. So he's not even really saving that much money there. It's like, can we on a
Like,
side
oh.
note? Yeah, I was in the most incredible hostel in the world there. It's called Twist Hotel and Hostel. Dude, this thing is like a 5-star resort and it's a hostel. And I think my room again was like $30 a night. However, and that was for a private room with a private bathroom. So that was more the hotel side, but you could get a hostel bed for like $9 and it's like absolutely incredible. Definitely go scroll back on my thing. I did it. It's called The Twist with the Z, TWIZT. But Geno came and hung out there for a day there. It's awesome, man. It's really remarkable with a rooftop pool, which was just so
That's
crazy. I've
crazy.
never seen a hostel like that before.
Yeah.
If even if you want to go the hostel route, it's a different experience. It's definitely a different experience.
Love to hear it. Thank you both for chatting about this experience. It was so wonderful to get to hear about it and just get to learn more because it does sound like such an amazing opportunity for hairstylists to get involved, to be able to go to teach, to give back. So thank you both for sharing and for giving your time.
Gabby, before we jump out
to do that.
completely, was there anything that we missed? Is there any questions that you had that you think that the listeners would be interested in?
I think that about covered it. I feel like you guys did a really, really good job of like talking about it. I mean, even just being interested in like, the language too and the culture and having to translate like all of that. Like I think things that people would be concerned about going into it just for the first time, and even exchange rate money, stuff like that. Like I feel like you did a good job covering the whole gambit. But
That's
again, like you both mentioned, if there's any specific questions that anyone has listening, I know both of you are very willing to answer those. So please reach out to Corey and to Geno if you have specific questions that maybe you would think of from a hairstylist perspective that I would not think of. Because and I'd be interested to know what it is, like what else it is that people want to know about the experience too.
I would say like if you ever want to go to Southeast Asia, Cambodia is the easiest like step into Southeast Asia. In the cities, everybody speaks English. The US dollar is the preferred currency. It's not just accepted, it's preferred. The only giveaway or the only thing I will say about that is they want their money crispy. They don't want folds in it. They don't want wrinkles in it. They don't want anything like that. So when if you're going, make sure that you go to the bank and get really, really fresh bills. They want fresh bills. I think I took $100 in ones. I took $200 or $100 in fives and $100 in tens and then like $200 in 20s or something. I think is how I broke it down. But I made sure that each dollar in each bill was super, super crispy, because when you hand it to a tuk-tuk driver, they like inspect that thing like whatever, it's a dollar, you know what I mean? But I also bought like a flat wallet, so I didn't have to fold the bills to put it into my wallet.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask, how do you maintain that with the traveling and everything? Because obviously,
it was tough. Like it was definitely tough, and you just want to be respectful for what they need to, and again, these are people that are living on about $5 a week, so you want to make sure that they can spend that money or use that money. I don't even know what the culture is around the crispy bill, but it's crispy.
Yeah.
Geno, they didn't care so much about the real, right?
No, I think the reel was beat up. I think the crispy bills is what they were more concerned about.
Yeah, the reels I don't think they cared too much about. But anyways, that's it. Gabby, thank you for chatting with us about this. I really appreciate it. Geno,
no, I was looking forward to it.
Oh, yay. Geno, thank you. Thanks for making time for us. And it was on a personal note, it was such a pleasure to meet you in Cambodia, and absolutely positively you made an incredible trip for me. You're a wonderful travel companion. So I just love I love how your goal is to have fun. because sometimes I get in my head, so you kind of pull me out of that, and just go, let's go have fun, bro. And I'm willing, but sometimes I need my hand held. Sometimes you literally need my hand held to get on the road. So yeah, thank you very much. I am going to add this real quick, but we'll talk about this later. But Geno and I, we get to travel again together next month. So
Yes.
our friends over at Milkshake brand, hair brand, they're taking Geno and I, or bringing Geno and I to Ibiza, Spain. I've never had a desire to go to Ibiza, but we are going to Ibiza, Spain with Milkshake. They're having a big thing there. So that's another thing, man. They're having a big hair event there. If you got a couple extra dollars and you want to get to Ibiza, there's going to be a hair party. There's going to be a hair party there, sponsored by Milkshake. I don't even know what the website is. Milkshake.usa or something. I don't know. Anyway,
Milkshake hair. It's Beauty Launchpad has covered it. If you look up Hairtopia Ibiza, which is the name of the event, we've done so much coverage. Milkshake sponsored our May June issue and has like a gorgeous cover. And they talked about the contest. They just announced the winner of the contest on National Gloss Day. So there's a lovely hairstylist that, because they use the Milkshake gloss, their newest launch, gets to go to Hairtopia in Ibiza, so it's going to be a really fun experience. And fingers crossed, I'll be going. We're still working some things out on the back end, but in theory, I should be there as well.
Well, that's awesome. We hope to see you there, and we'll have to talk to John, but I would love to interview the person that won the Hairtopia.
Yes, that would be fun. Yeah,
awesome.
I have the handle, so I can, and I believe I followed her on the Beauty Launchpad account. So I think that would be something very, very easily that we could organize. So we should do that.
Well, if you could send that over, Gab, that'd be awesome.
Will do.
Cool. All right, Geno, I'll see you in Ibiza. Gabby, I'll see you in Ibiza.
Akun, everyone. Thank you.
Akun tam tam.
Akun tam tam.
Akun tam tam. Thanks, guys.